introduce the Vice President, Kamala Harris.
Meanwhile, why did I think you were much taller? I recently learned you're only 5'2". Is that true?
That is absolutely incorrect.
Okay.
I am 5'4" and a quarter.
Okay, and I'm 5'3".
5'4" and a half, and with heels, which I always wear, I'm 5'7" and a half. Thank you very much.
Okay, Wikipedia, you're wrong, and we need
totally
to correct
wrong.
that.
I've said this to my team, like, what? I don't know where it came from. I was 5'2" when I was 12.
They say I'm 5'1" on my Wikipedia page.
How tall are you?
5'3"3/4".
Right?
And shrinking.
It's like literally, they just want to just make us smaller in every way.
I know, but I was excited because I'm short, and I was like, oh, Kamala is short
No,
like
I am
me.
not. I really am not. Like,
Okay.
they're just trying to take
Okay.
2.5 inches off my,
We stand corrected.
wing. Yes,
And we'll make sure.
And
Yes. Yes.
An unsustainable border, what they're calling a crisis. Why can't this be accomplished during this administration?
Well, so there's no question that our immigration system is broken. And so much so that we, as the first bill that we offered after our inauguration, was to fix the immigration system, which included what we must do to create a pathway for citizenship and to put the resources that are needed into the border. But sadly, people on the other side of the aisle have been playing politics with this issue. The solutions are at hand. And, gone are the days, sadly, where a President Bush or John McCain understood that we should have a bipartisan approach to fixing this problem, which is a long-standing problem.
But what are those solutions?
The solution includes putting resources at the border to do what we can to process people effectively and putting in place laws that actually allow for a meaningful pathway to citizenship.
That is not a solution.
We have historic accomplishments in terms of the economy.
Just 13% of Americans say they've gotten better financially since the president took office.
What we've done to move forward, it's science, technology, and investment in the American workforce, growing the American workforce, rising wages.
However, 60% of workers say their income has not been enough to keep up with inflation. More than half of those who got a pay bump said their pay lost ground to inflation.
Bringing down prices.
Overall inflation is up nearly 18%. Food is up more than 30%. Shelter rents are up nearly 19%. Energy is up nearly 33%. And electricity is up 27%.
Historic work has happened, no question. It is incumbent on us to let people know who brung it to them, frankly.
ABC News Ipsos poll out this week shows just 31% of Americans approve of how Biden is handling this economy.
So you're right. We have a lot of accomplishments. And I think what the American people want most in their leaders is that we actually get things done. And we have done it. We haven't taken adequate credit for it, frankly. And we got to do a better job of getting the word out about what we have accomplished and who did it.
I will tell you that the negotiations that are happening right now, I hope, are going to be directed at solutions that are genuinely focused on fixing the problem, including all the equities that you mentioned.
68% of Americans disapprove of the way the Biden administration has handled the border. So how do you address that?
Sure.
Have you done enough?
There's no question, our immigration system is broken. And it needs to be fixed. And as with any problem, then leaders will participate, true leaders, in the solution. So I'm going to take you back to about 3 years ago, and it was, I think, the day after our inauguration, when we came in, Joe Biden as president and me as vice president. The first bill that we offered was a bill to fix the immigration system.
And that's when you controlled both houses.
And Congress did not take it up.
Already, moderates like Texas Democrat Henry Cuellar say this is not realistic, as is.
I do support full immigration reform, but the reality and the practicality right now, the only bipartisan support we have is for a DREAM Act and for a guest worker plan.
And Ohio Republican Jim Jordan calls it a blatantly partisan proposal that rewards those who broke the law, floods the labor market at a time when millions of Americans are out of work, fails to secure the border, and incentivizes further illegal immigration.
We're wondering, though, what could you accomplish in a second term that you have not already done now?
Well, to get there, we're going to require everyone to vote to understand what's at stake right now. And that is no small matter, to make sure that we are present. And I intend to travel around our country to remind people of what's at stake and that their voice will matter and will be expressed through their vote in many other ways. But we have to first get there. So I want to emphasize that point.
I want to get to the heart of what I think you're raising, which you've said is his age. So let's talk about that. I spend a lot of time with Joe Biden, be it in the Oval Office or the Situation Room. And I can tell you, this is someone who is tireless in terms of working on behalf of the American people.
This conference was one of the most important meetings in history. You have a chance to make decisions and reach agreements which will affect the lives of generations to come. You are in a position of extraordinary power. You can change forever the trajectory we are on. You can make a world that is once again full of hope, not fear. This is my message from Earth to come. On behalf of We the 15.
To your point of knowing Joe Biden, he comes from a background and a place in his heart and soul where he cares so deeply about working people, about families.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier.
You're a damn liar, man. That's not true. You said I set up my son to work in an oil company. Isn't that what you said? Get your words straight, Jack. Look, fat, look.
He is attacking you and President Biden for election interference. He believes what the Justice Department is doing is only attributed to you, but also is election interference. What is your reaction to those who believe his statements?
Okay, well, let's start with the facts. You just outlined them, so actually I don't need to repeat them in terms of what have been the allegations about the former president. And I do believe that the American people care about rule of law and care about speaking truth and acknowledging truth.
But what about the accusation that it is Biden's DOJ that is overseeing any of the charges against him?
Well, listen, everyone who is paying close attention understands that there is a clear and non-negotiable division in terms of the separation between our administration and what the Department of Justice does in terms of its investigations, in terms of its prosecutions. And that line has never been crossed.
And let us all agree, one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree the government should not be telling her what to do with her body.
The Department of Labor is developing an emergency rule to require all employers with 100 or more employees that together employ over 80 million workers to ensure their workforces are fully vaccinated.
Did that also include what's going on in Georgia? Obviously, you were a state prosecutor. This is the federal government we're talking about, but there are those who try to conflate what DA Fani Willis is doing in Georgia with the acts of the Department of Justice.
What's the question?
The question is, do you believe that when Donald Trump is making these statements to suggest this is all attributed to the Biden administration or to the Department of Justice, what is your response to people who believe that, in fact, it's all orchestrated as one?
Well, what he is saying is not factual, period. In terms of a second term, there's a lot of work to continue to do to build on our successes.
Both Biden and Harris face negative approval ratings.
Do you have concerns about how to approach the certification process again on January 6th?
I think everyone is right to be vigilant in demanding that we maintain our democracy and we uphold its pillars, which includes the integrity of a free and fair election system.
Some would say it's up to the voters to look at issues of who can be on the ballots as well. In places like Colorado or Maine, are you comfortable leaving that up to the courts or to the voters?
Those cases are all being litigated, and I'll watch as they go through their process.
I got some words. I got the vocabulary. And my pronunciation is perfect.